In this video, we do our first real mod on the dual cab. We try to sort out the cooler pipe on the Fortuner. What's this? I thought we put Bullet Truck away for 2021. And what are these two doing on the side of the road? Big trip planned in about 8 weeks' time. We'll be using the Hilux on this particular trip to carry the quad bike and the motorbikes. Shell's car will tow the van. And we'll be going through some deep water, so we're going to be going down into a private property on the Dewar River. So what we've got here is lots of bits and pieces. We're going to try and waterproof the motor for the deep water crossings. So we've got a snorkel, we've got a surf air box. The surf air box picks up the snorkel at one corner and then runs along the face of the radiator into the turbo. So that's where you benefit from the surf air box. Not necessarily with the non-turbo, because you've got to then bend this 90 degrees, go over and then bend that 90 degrees back into the inlet there. This is a steer damper that I'm going to put in it, as I'm not real happy with the return to center one that I've got at the moment. Same trip that we did last time, where I towed the caravan with the 79 and Shell towed the car trailer with all the toys. And then we left Shell's car at the house and I basically crossed the creeks twice, once with the van, once with the car trailer, and then we had a little bit of carnage here and there. We lost the trailer in a creek. So this time we'll be taking the Hilux with all the toys, and then when we get to the house we'll leave Shell's car up there. I'll tow the caravan over once with the bikes in the back, and that's job done. So it should be a really exciting adventure, because the little 2.8 towing the van, if the creeks are up, it could be fun. For any new subscribers we've got since that series, do yourself a favour, go back through and watch it. It's a cracker of a series. Part 1 in a link below. What's nice is, of late, I've had a couple of thank you emails and responses and comments on, you know, helping people out. Years later, they've watched videos that have helped them out on the side of the road, in caravan parks. I really appreciate that. Let the games begin. The factory air cleaner, at the moment it's sucking from behind the headlight, you know, which isn't the greatest. A, water gets in there, and B, there's a lot of bends and places that the air's got to get to before it can get into the engine. So the inner guard's off. So just to show you how restrictive the factory air cleaner has the air coming in at. So it's basically a squashed bit of pipe. It's sitting behind the headlight here. We've got the damper off, and I just have to show you, because I need to take it off, because I've got to do a set of belts. It's not often you see the LN106 with the factory bash plate still on there. So we'll be taking that off. Look at that, and it's not even bent. I've covered the inlet there, and we'll start on the snorkel. So we've got it lined up with the top of the guard fender, and we've got it lined up with the right side of the guard. So what I want now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pilot holes. Typical carpenter, not the sharpest drill bit, so I might use both hands for the remaining 3. That looks about 8.5 to me. This is the hose that goes through the 2 guards, so it's going to be going in at the same size, and then what we'll do is we'll feed this back through that way to hook it up, and that's why you take the inner guard out. So with the 106s, there's this cable, the harness that runs there. We've got to undo that and just pull it down so that we can get the hole saw straight through. I just found something out right now. So TJM back in the day, they did make an aluminium version of this, powder coated black. I just assumed that's what it was. But this is actually a TJM steel winch bar on this LN106. It's good to know. Now the reason for the magnet was the cleanup after the drilling. With a good magnet, we clean up what we can see. Metal filings go everywhere. This part, super important. Now I didn't buy this snorkel. This snorkel actually came with the car. Previous owners didn't really want to drill a hole in it. Rightly so, but we've got a big trip coming up with deep water crossings. So the last thing we want is water in the engine. Same with the little holes. None of this is seen. In the little bag of goodies, no instructions apart from the template, but I've got studs and bolts for the snorkel onto the guard. So I'm assuming because of the angle that they're both going to be coming in at, it's going to be near impossible to push that through the two 8.5mm holes. So I'm thinking if we put them in the top, that's coming in at 90 degrees with the snorkel, and then we put the bolts through the guard on the other side. Let's just see if that works. Before we pre-fit it, in case it does fit, I'll leave it in there. I'll put this top bracket on, so I won't be able to get to these bolts when it's in position. The Hilux badge needs to come off, so I'm sure Nicholas will claim this for his bed. We'll clean that up. You don't see much of it. The 2.8 can stay. I believe you scored a badge and you have a Hilux bed.
Yep.
Is that right?
With every single.
You have a Hilux badge. Let's have a look. Is it a Hilux though? Well, I think it's an early model Hilux. It's the same model as the red one up there.
But it has.
Actually, the same model as the yellow one up there.
Well, but it does have the symbol.
It does have a symbol. It has a symbol here. It has a badge here. Where are you going to put that badge?
It has the big one on the back.
I know. Where are you going to put that badge? Or can I have it back?
I think.
Oh, lovely. Look at that. Can you show them that the door opens? Oh, look at that. Perfect. Lovely. All right, done. I've lost the badge. Oh, look at his trophy. Nice trophy.
I got it yesterday night.
What for? Obviously soccer.
Yep.
Nice one.
This is a soccer ball and a soccer shoe.
Good. Season over?
Yep.
How many games did you lose out of all the games? Just the one. Bugger, so close. Next year. You can see how much better it is already, that it's not coming from behind the headlight anymore into that 90-degree bend and then into the box. It's now coming down the snorkel and then straight into that. Dun dun dun. Look at that. Fits nicely. I've been in the building game way too long to not be putting some silicone on this watertight seal. The inner guard's going to be going back on. You know, if it was the comp truck, well, it's exposed, but I'm going to be putting it on, so I never want to come back in here. Also some Sikaflex up here, let that go off, and then I'll pop the rivets there, the stainless steel rivets. All done, inner guard back on, engine bay's nice and tidy. Got the pre-painted steering damper on there. It's an old man Emu one we had. So Shell's Fortuner towed bullet truck, awesome. It was 8 hours of towing in total. That intercooler hose, it gave us grief towing the caravan the trip before. I wanted to change before we left, but I only got that from Toyota as we were leaving. So it was a spare in the back of the car in case. Now it did come loose. I had 2 clamps on it. So what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna change that hose as we've got a fair bit of towing ahead of us. Not only are we going to tow the van up north, 6 hours, but in between, in the next week, I'm towing the dual cab down to Wollongong, and I'm going to tow the Bullet for one last local run. So what I did last time is I feel like here he comes now. There's a lip on this, and I actually clamped heavy duty hose clamp to that. I think from factory that would be the stop point. But I use that to help grip the hose. So let's get it off the other end. So we'd pull over off the highway and it'd be like that with the hose clamps tight. So we'll get this end off and have a look at it on the floor. We'll just sit that there. So that's a rubber hose, right? And here we've got, it seems to be a metal pipe, but then it's covered in plastic or a hard PVC type product. Same on this side. I mean, they're intercooler hoses, so, you know, be good if it was all made up in one piece. But then you've got this sensor here that you'd have to sort out. I've seen kits made for other vehicles, the intercooler hoses, more heavy duty, more solid. There's obviously an overboosting problem or a faulty hose. Yeah, so that's what I did on the last highway stop. I fed the hose over that and I clamped it to that. But I'm sure that's a stop point for the hose. We'll open it up and see. So it actually comes with 2 hose clamps. Michael sent out the 2 hose clamps, and it also comes with this vacuum line. So looking at the end of it, you can see that that there is the new one, obviously. And then this one here, it kind of flares out at the end. There's definitely like a flaring on that hose. So I'm not sure. Michael, my Toyota guy, he did say that he has sold a few. So it is a problem, or people are just replacing it. I doubt that. I'm assuming that this is happening to people. We'll probably use a genuine hose clamp, and I'll also put the heavy duty one on that inside side. From what I can make out, it looks to be the same part number too. Doesn't look like I'm going to have enough height or depth to run the heavy duty and the factory, so I might just put the new genuine one on, do it up tight and just check it. So I've got it sitting down on its seat there, on its stop, both ends, and all I can really do is tighten these up and check it. It's only ever played up towing the caravan, which is a weird thing because that's like a ton lighter than bullet truck. We will have this in the back for spare. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't even go into limp mode or throw an error code when it happens. It's just you've got to fish your way across into the breakdown lane from potentially the right hand lane. Sometimes it's happened. It's quite an expensive hose too for what it is. But what I thought, I had a good genuine hose clamp that was holding the front of it down. And I do have enough space to put the 2 factory hose clamps together. So I'm going to run the second one to help it. Figure why not? It can't hurt. I don't think it can hurt. Time will tell. That's one thing for sure. Very little oil out of the catch can as well. Very surprising. I used to pick up a lot more oil than this out of the 79 towing the Bullet, especially over an 8-hour period. May have something to do with the DPF model, Fortuner having the DPF and the 79 was pre-DPF, or the fact that the Fortuner's only done 15,000 kilometers, so the motor's still quite new. And so the filters in the catch can would be quite new too. It might still be absorbing the fumes and not letting it become oil yet. As I did in the 79, change those filters every 20,000 K. Now to complement the Snorkel, we take the dual cab on a little excursion. Now to be honest, I was a little nervous about putting the dual cab on the trailer. The up and over guard setup. It's been a while since I've put anything on here that didn't have at least diff gears or crawler gears to be able to have the control to go up and over the guards. But at the end of the day, it's a Hilux, so no dramas. Driving for a bit now on the freeway. Motor's been working pretty hard too in some spots. Couple of big hills. So next spot we can, we'll pull over and check that cooler hose. Got the ratchet very handy. Every time I stop, I'll be checking it. Yeah, they're loose. They have come loose. Wow. Front one as well. It hasn't lifted at all yet. It's still on the stop. So we'll check it again when we get there. About another hour of driving. That Hilux is awfully close in that rearview mirror, but it's kind of like a donkey in the fog as well. Nobody knows what I'm towing. It's that foggy up here. Poor visibility, and we're about to descend Bulleye Pass. Wish me luck. Gonna be a slow descent. We have reached our destination. No more guessing, the secret's out. We're getting a turbo fitted up from Turbo Glide down here in Russellvale. You can see here from the front view how lucky we are that Adam widened the guards for us. Unloaded the Hilux, heading back up Bulli with an empty trailer, but not for long. Just been invited out to a local social. Local social, oh, it's a tricky one. Local social, local social. So Phil's invited us out on Sunday. Cooper's keen to catch up with the kids. So he and I and Adam will go out for a last minute wheel. I hadn't planned on taking Bullet out again this year, to be honest. So I've got the trailer empty, the airbags are full. So we'll head over there and put on the trailer and head out with them on the weekend. Fog's lifted, the sun's shining. The trailer's empty, so the Fortuna's loving it. Had a bit of a chat to John there at Turbo Glide. Basically, it's just it's an over boosting problem. You're just at full boost when you're towing in these little cars. The problem's more common than we know. He's given me a bit of a tip on how to fix it, so we'll see how we go there. I did check it before I left, and they hadn't come loose again since that initial tighten up halfway down the mountain. So let's go and get the Bullet on. Few things we need to do before we put it on the trailer though. What the first job's going to be before I pull it out of the garage is I'm going to pull that cable out and re-spool it. And this is the Roadrunner 6 horsepower winch. It's always served us well. And with a flick of a cable here, it goes from the in-car controller to the remote control for doing little jobs like this, or self-recoveries. Before we kick it over, a few things to check. We'll check all our fluids. We'll drain the catch can, clean the air filter. The oil looks beautiful. It was only changed not long ago. Check that the battery hasn't come loose. It needs a little bit of a nip up there. We'll check radiator fluids. Looks like we've hit something here. We'll tidy up these cable ties. Another example of the Surf Air box on the L motor. This is the 5L, but easy access to the filter and such a direct route of air. Throw a spanner over everything. Things that came loose after the first run seem to be okay, even after that Sugarloaf run. So it may have just been the initial build type that they've come loose from. There's a little bit of a nip up there needed. Check the U-bolts. We'll grease up the tail shaft. We'll check all the spring bolts. These top arms are a worry. Yeah, there's a bit of a nip up needed here. But I guess as long as we keep our eye on them, the studs should stay healthy. That cross member from Roadrunner is still no ETA on that. Apart from it hanging down so low, it seems to have been holding up well. No, it's still got nice and tight on the mounts. No, they're nice and solid. And just so you know, boys, I heard all the little back chat about my winch blanket, so we'll pull out the spare one. I know you love the clamps. It's bin day. Everything feels okay. Oh, is that a bit of oil there? There's a bit of oil coming out of that. I'll have to keep an eye on that and see how bad that gets, yeah. It's all looking good under here, except that seal there. That seal is going to need looking at. Yeah, nice and tight. I'll pull the freewheeling hub off and check the equivalent in the front. We'll sort out this little discrepancy. Definitely have to tidy up that flare because it's touching the door. Get all the new cable ties on this. Yeah, everything's come loose a little bit. Oh, that's come way loose, that one. U-bolts are needing a nip up too. The steer box bolts, they seem to be good. A little bit of a nip up needed. I can't tell you how good this high steer's been to use. It steers so easily on them big angles, and when all the weight's on the one wheel, it's way easier to steer compared to the conventional. We'll grease up that awesome front tail shaft of Tony Shire's from Shire's Fabrication using a brand new grease gun. Kindly sponsored by Coastwide Contracting. Thank you, Paulie. How good are new grease guns? Tell you what, I can't wait to use that. Flare's all good, door doesn't touch. Toolbox locks. Now this was a last minute spare of the moment run that I was invited to, that I've said yes to, the last run of 2021. So apologies for all that weren't notified that normally are. Just have to blame Phil. So it's a local run, so we'll have a few other things we want to test this one too. We had a viewer point out that the back seems lazy, so I'm going to take these saddle bolts out and do a comparison on how much more the back flexes with those out as opposed to the longevity they would give. We've got the wrap bar, so it should work. We took a lot of rubber off on the gatekeeper there at Queensland Gates in Sugarloaf last run. Have a look at that. They were the back tyres trying to climb. The fronts had already done all the work, so they're not too bad, and all the weight was on. These were quite light on that 1 hour of trying on those rocks, but the backs were doing a lot of work. So believe it or not, these tyres get better the more you wear them as well, so keep an eye out for that. One Hilux dropped off, another one picked up, and all in good time. So I dropped the kids off this morning, got down, dropped the dual cab off, back up, picked up some materials. I was lucky it rained this morning, so I wasn't missed on a job. Shell's always supportive and covered me this morning while I put the dual cab on the trailer. And now look at the time, we get the Hilux home and I can go and do a little bit of work before I pick the kids up. So everything had to align for this to happen. It was one of those lucky days. So keep an eye out for the upcoming episodes. It may even be a small series. There's 3 or 4 of us doing this run coming up. It's the last one before Christmas, so we'll give it our all. Last one on 37s, hopefully, fingers crossed. There's also going to be 2 more episodes of the Sugarloaf competition coming up. So as always, thanks for watching.